What's up guys, it's Alex from Shout Loud TV, and today we're proud to present a new format called Raw and Uncut Shout Loud Reviews. With this first podcast, we're going to bring Perfect Circle's Eat the Elephant to you. So what I'm going to do for you now is basically talk about the music in general, and then give you an insight on my personal pros and cons of the album, and give you a final rating on the Shout Loud scale. So what to say about this album? It's something that has been dividing critics and fans alike. Perfect Circle's last release in form of Emotive was 15 years ago, so you can understand that fans are really craving new music by Maynard James Keenan and his co-musicians, because we're still waiting on a new Tool album, and that's not going to happen anytime soon, as we know. To say what there's to say about this album in general, there's a strong contrast between the lyrics and the music. The instrumentation is much calmer than before. There's less heavy riffing and more intricate, fragile, and fickle sounds. Especially Maynard James Keenan makes use of his voice in a different way than before. He does not resort to it in a loud manner. He at times even whispers or uses voices that sound kind of estranging. So that's a new experience during this album. And going into this release, you should also expect less heavy riffing overall. There's different instrumentation. There's string sections, brass arrangements, and also a piano that guides you along through the entire release. My personal pros of this record are the immense amount of leitmotifs that are spread across this album. Especially during one song, which is Talk Talk. It kind of refers back to the riff in Gravity that was used on Perfect Circle's The 13th Step release. So that kind of touches upon older releases and integrates what fans are expecting to hear. Yet Talk Talk is probably the heaviest song on the entire record, which might have been a false precursor for what you might expect from the album. So, what I also like about the album is how the lyrics are quite honest and yet understandable. For example, the song So Long and Thanks for All the Fish comes across as a rather poppy tune and has interesting, funny, quirky lyrics that upon further inspection are not as funny anymore. But in fact, politically very, very critical. Maynard James Keenan seems to lean more towards this political side on this album, a facet that has been present on past albums but is now even more relevant during this release. Those were my pros for this album. Let's talk about the cons in a way. The problem I have with this album at points is that there are some songs that pale in comparison. For example, Feathers, the final track of the album, one of the final tracks of the album, doesn't give me anything, and it kind of tries to build up and never goes anyplace. Whereas this works well during other songs, where you feel like there is a beast that is about to be unleashed but is never unleashed indeed. This song feels like it's kind of leading you along and not going anywhere. Other than that, I think that the entire arrangement throughout the album is brilliant because it contrasts heavy lyrical content and subtle, fragile music. So that is something I really appreciate, and that will also alienate most other fans, especially fans of the older Perfect Circle releases, will probably feel estranged by how subtle this album is. It's something you will have to dig deeper with, and you have to really kind of take your time to understand what the artists are trying to say. And which reminds me of the Deftones record Gore that was released 2 years ago. That was also quite divisive among fans and critics. So, as a wrap-up, A Perfect Circle's new record, Eat the Elephant, is way calmer than anything A Perfect Circle has created before, but is an intricate listen that draws you in and makes you want to engage more and understand what the artist is saying. So on the shout loud scale, this would be a 13 out of 15. Thank you for watching. This was the first episode of Shout Loud Reviews, Raw and Uncut. I hope you have a brilliant time, and feel free to share, comment, and like this, and subscribe. Bye, guys.